It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And Car Con Carne, we are now live on Facebook, still in quarantine. It's Quarantine Con Carne. I'm James Van Alstyne, and Car Con Carne, sponsored tonight by C&H Financial Services. As business owners are opening back up to serve their communities, they're faced with a lot of challenges as they navigate through this new normal brought on by the coronavirus. C&H Financial Services is here to help. C&H offers a variety of products that range from traditional merchant accounts to a zero-cost payment processing solution, which eliminates the expense associated with accepting Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express as a form of customer payment. To learn more, contact C&H Financial Services at 855-600-2437 or go to chfs.us. My guest today, he is Nick Perri. We first knew you in the band Silvertide in the beginning of the century. And these days, it's Nick Perri and the Underground Thieves, new album out on the 14th of August. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, you're just saying that. Look how cool your studio is. You've got like the incense burning. You got the neon cactus. You look so rock right now.
Thanks, man. I'm just doing me. I don't know. I'm just, I'm relaxing. I'm sitting on a beanbag too.
So one of the ongoing topics we have is putting out content in this time of pandemic. There are a bunch of schools of thought about how to release content, be it music, film, books, whatever. Some people say wait until things become more normal. Other people say get the content out there. I'm of the latter. I say that there's never been a time where we've wanted and needed content more. Perfect time for you to put out this album.
Well, thank you. I'm also in that boat, and really, some of it wasn't up to me. So I'll be honest. I've had the good fortune of the timeline working in my favor, and what people don't know is that it's been 2.5 years behind the scenes to make this record. The first day studio time was booked was December 1st, 2017.
Okay. So
this has been a 2.5-year journey. And it's been in the pipeline and it's ready to go. I'm grateful that it's done, because if it had played out in a different way, and we're still trying to get studio time and finish the album now, it would obviously be tremendously more difficult. So I can't take all the credit. There was a little bit of luck involved, a lot of hard work for 2.5 years to get to this moment. But we are of the belief of moving forward. And like we talked about a couple minutes ago, when we first said hello, there's like a range of emotions and cycles and that are happening within each hour, within each day, within each week, within each month. Right. And so there's a lot of ups and downs, but I think the general consensus, at least from my side, is this is why I'm here. I have an opportunity to share music. I have an audience, which I'm so grateful to still have after all these years. And still picking up new people along the way, which is wonderful, and I'm grateful for it every day. My contribution right now, for me to sit in silence, I don't think would be helping anybody. It wouldn't be helping me get the stuff out, which always feels like, as an artist as well, like whenever you put something out, it's like you feel a little bit of weight off your shoulder. Don't know why. That's just the life of an artist. But also, if it helps to inspire or bring somebody joy for even 5 minutes a day, then I feel it a worthy endeavor.
I love that. So the album I mentioned comes out on August 14th. How many people are in the band, Nick Perri and the Underground Thieves?
It's a 6-piece band. All
right, 6-piece. And all right, that's awesome. The album comes out in a couple of weeks. I hear so many different things that I love about this album. First and foremost, the most obvious thing, your guitar work. You sound great.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I hear a little bit of psychedelic, Feeling Good, the first single. I hear some blues. I hear some funk. Maybe like I look at this song as maybe the missing link between In Excess and Lenny Kravitz. There's something really cool and funky about it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. That's a genuine smile.
And the video is hilarious. It's you and the band kind of joining forces as you walk through the neighborhood, like the Avengers coming together.
Thank you.
I hope you're wearing your Fitbit for that video. You've got your steps in.
To do a one take video like that,
it was all one take.
It was a solid one take, one shot all the way through. We did it. We rehearsed it, and we did it a lot of times. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure. So when people see it, because it's still awaiting release, right?
Correct. The video will drop August 5th.
All right. It's so much fun. It starts with you walking through an alley. It could be an alley in Chicago. I know it's not. And you start walking, and then you start walking down the street. It's feeling good, and everyone joins along, and it's fun to watch, and it probably easy to make, relatively speaking. No big special effects, just you doing you.
And no post-production, which was fantastic. Usually I spend weeks slaving in front of the computer, editing and sound and all kind of crazy stuff. And that part was easy. Once it was in the can, it was easy. But actually getting it right and not being hit by a car and some of the various other things.
Always a concern.
Yeah, it took a little bit of pre-pro, but overall it was a really fun experience.
Talking about some of the different sounds and styles on the album, there's a 1960s almost like pop innocence to the song I Want You. The keyboards and the harmonies, I think, totally make that song.
Thank you. I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs, and one of the songs that people have not heard at all yet. So I'm really excited for people to hear it. And thanks, man. I love that song as well.
Well, then I am excited for people can pre-order it. I mean, like I said, it comes out on the 14th. I'm excited for people to hear this. Let you know, another song on the album, different sound. To me, it kind of unfolds like a Roger Waters song, though the way it builds and the drama and just the vocals, everything kind of comes together like not even like a Pink Floyd song, but like a Roger Waters solo song.
I love this, man. I think I need to have you like write the liner notes or something in the special edition. Seriously. Thank you. I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. There's no hiding it. In fact, for me to deny it would be incredibly inauthentic. I'm a huge Floyd fan. And a lot of the things that you're saying, I think, are spot on. This album covers a lot of ground. I couldn't be true to myself and just stick to one very specific lane because my taste in music is very eclectic. People who follow me know I used to do a vinyl of the day. I haven't done it so much now, but for years I would show people, I'm listening to a vinyl today with my daughter every morning. And
you got to start the kids early on the records.
You have to. So I have a large collection of music and a large pool that I draw from as inspiration, as stuff that just genuinely moves me. So I think the record is probably going to surprise some people that it does have some variety, maybe more than they were expecting. But I do think it still all fits under the umbrella of just, good rock and roll music, I would hope to think.
And I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there are people who want whatever you create with the Underground Thieves to sound like previous bands. They want it to sound like the Show and Tell album. They want it to.
I've been getting that for 15 years. Yeah. And you know what? It's a compliment, and I'm glad so many people like the record. And it's really crazy how many years later it's still talked about and it's still selling copies, which is crazy. Still selling
in the modern day of streaming. That's a nice testament to the music you made. Let's jump around then. Let's talk a little bit about Silvertide. I remember I was working for an active rock station at the time. We heard the Silvertide album. We heard Ain't Coming Home. And this was, it seemed like a no-brainer band. I mean, the song was huge. It charted really well. In the world of rock, you were on some amazing tours. It seemed like it was all systems go for Silvertide.
It was until it wasn't.
What happened?
Go ahead. What happened? A variety of things happened. So we, because we were already working for a number of years behind the scenes. We'd done an EP called American Excess in the UK. By the time Show and Tell came out, we were 3-4 years in, and then we toured that album hard. It was it was 3 years. I mean, a 2-year album cycle would have been easy. This was a 3-year, and each month becomes, when you're on the road that long, it becomes like exponentially more difficult,
Sure.
So we had strained personalities. I think being on the road for too long with no breaks was a big part of it, but there was also problems behind the scenes. And at that moment in time, maybe some people remember, but the first decade of the 2000s, kind of at the midway point there, you really had kind of the fall of the record industry, and all these labels, because of downloads, nobody could figure out how to catch up. And you went from having 20 major labels to having 3, and the labels were merging, bands were getting dropped, all this and that. So even though we had sold, close to 400,000 albums, which by today's standard is insane, is wonderful. At that time, because we didn't sell 1 million, we were dropped. Now we could have carried on. We could have found a new label, done it independently. And looking back, we probably should have, because we had a huge fan base there waiting,
Yeah.
But because the relationships internally were also strained, I think the collective decision was like, let's just take a breath. And that led to, years and years and years of off time.
There's a certain unreality to being on the road that much without any kind of touchstones along the way. And however great your relationship is with people, I mean, it's like being in quarantine with people for months on end. At some point, there's going to be conflict, and little annoyances just exacerbate into real big pains in the ass. And I'm sure that happens all the time with bands. Totally.
But you know what? The other thing, I feel like I'm much more equipped because I've done a ton of touring since then as well. And I think also age and life experience plays into it. Because now when you're 30, okay, like I have to live with this person for 6 months in a tube traveling down the highway, So what can I do to not piss this person off? Right.
Right.
When you're 17, 18, you're like, ooh, what can we do to? Sure. It's like button pushing, and what can you get away with? And we were all troublemakers, and there's only so long that can go on before stuff starts getting weird and bad and wrong.
Well, and to your point, I mean, after Silvertide had its moment, I mean, you played with Perry Farrell and Shinedown and Matt Sorum, and you played with a bunch of veterans who I'm sure elevated your maturity to touring a little bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
And let's go back to some of the tours when Silvertide was in full swing. Van Halen, Velvet Revolver. It's like following the circus from town to town.
It's funny you said circus, because I say, when I describe my life story, from being like all, Catholic, all boys, shirt and tie, and then one day I'm in school and the next day I'm like on tour in Japan. I call it joining the circus. And that's what it was like. And then we did the Motley Crue Carnival of Sins tour, which was a circus. So it was Velvet Revolver, Van Halen, and Motley Crue all in a row. And it was like my liver for 3 years was hurting. Like it was insane.
Yeah, you might want to switch to kombucha at some point.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the new album. Again, Sun Via comes out on the 14th. It is available for pre-order. Nick Perri and the Underground Thieves. I mentioned the blues because I hear a little bluesiness and Feeling Good, the single. I also hear a little bluesiness, maybe a little psychedelic in the song Fall, which is a love song, really.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, for me, guitar playing and all music goes back to the blues. I mean, I feel like that's where, unless you're talking about classical music, which is just in a different offshoot, I feel like all popular music in some way kind of goes back there. And even if you listen to Pink Floyd, a lot of their earlier work, especially, but even you listen to the solo of Time, and it's like there's like an Albert King lick in Time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, it makes me smile. Or Freddie King or BB King. It has that flavor, because Gilmour, even though he was doing this psychedelic, incredible, thematic piece, he still, as a guitar player, like loves the blues, and it's like, so I think there's a piece of that in a ton of stuff, and there certainly is for me. So good ear, and you're right on.
And I hear funkiness again, and Everybody Wants One. More funk there.
That one. So I'm a huge Sly and the Family Stone fan.
There it is.
And Yeah, you nailed it, man. Yeah, I wanted it to be like a gang, like a big family band. So there's a lot of hooting and hollering and whistling and yelling, and it's an onslaught of characters. I wanted it to just be like a big gang, fun, thing.
So this will be available on vinyl.
Yep, it's available for pre-order now on vinyl, CD, and digital. The vinyl, I'm really excited about.
That was my question. Knowing how much of an enthusiast you are, this is probably
and Silvertide never did vinyl, so this is like a big. This is my first original album on vinyl. I couldn't be more excited.
Do you have the test pressing?
Oh yeah,
that's so badass.
I may have cried when I first put it on.
That's amazing.
It was like religious, It's just a long time coming.
So, as a record collector, is that something that you got from your parents? Was that something you just came by as a music fan?
Not from my parents at all. When I was just discovering and just getting into rock and roll as a teenager, because I started a little bit late. Like I grew up in a very conservative house, so we didn't have like rock and roll. I was not allowed to have VH1 or MTV until I reached a certain age. So when I was finally exposed to it and allowed to participate and know what was out there in the world, I was 12. So from 12 to 16, I was digesting it at an unbelievable pace. You know what I mean? I was signed at 16. So
that's crazy.
It was 4 years of where I started playing guitar, discovered rock and roll, and then was in a signed band. So it was just like, in that time, it was all day, every day, 18 hours a day. So somebody had, and again, this is before records kind of rebloomed and became very popular, which I'm super glad they are now. But at that time, you could find anything for $2. Anything.
Absolutely.
You could find a double record. I bought Tommy, right? It was like a double LP, but it's actually like 4, or is it 4 or is it 2?
It's two records, 4 sides. Yeah.
Okay, 4 sides. That's right. So I don't know. It was like $4 or $5. It was like the golden era for just nobody wanted records. So you still had CDs even, and I just, there was something, and this ties into my present because, and part of my process for album making and record making and wanting to do as much on tape as I can in analog. But I believe in the process and the experience. And of course, it's easy, it's convenient. I can listen to, and I participate in the modern world. I have Spotify, I have Apple Music. I listen to music on the go. It's great, but it doesn't substitute when I'm home and I have a record and I have the cover and I put on the record and I drop the needle and I feel the analog sound waves come into my body, and it's an experience.
It's a ritual. It's start to finish. It's a ritual.
Yeah, and you can read all the liner notes and all the credits and all the pictures, and I'm totally into it. And I'm as into it at 36 as I was at 16. Like I just love it. It's an experience.
Well, and there's something to be said. I have all the same streaming services, but I also collect records. And to me, there's something to be said for locking yourself into an artist's vision. I am totally ADD when I listen to a streaming app, whether it's Spotify or whatever. I'll listen to the first 2 minutes of a song and I'll just get antsy and I'll start forwarding through stuff. And I don't settle in. When you put on a side of a record, you're locked in for 20 minutes. The good songs, the not so good songs, you're in it. And there's something that I missed through the years when I stopped collecting records, when I stopped listening to CDs and went all digital. There's something I missed about just that immersion, the ritual, and just really understanding what the artist was doing.
It's wonderful that you said that, because I do feel like that is something that we've lost a little bit, and getting to experience it the way, like you said, the artist intended you to experience it, I think is really important. I mean, I can't fathom like starting The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon, like on track 6. It has to,
exactly.
You have to start it from number 1. I don't
exactly.
even, like when I'm listening to the radio and I'm driving down the street, if I have the radio on and it's like I hear Money or something, like sometimes I'll switch to another channel because I want to save that for when I have the experience of listening to that record. You can't drop me into Dark Side of the Moon, at some random point. Like I want the whole thing.
So do you still go to stores and buy records, or do you do it online?
I'm really big into, I know that any record is available online. I get it. And once in a blue moon, I'll do that. And I'm doing it more now because of the situation.
Obviously, yeah.
But the big thrill for me is the hunt. And so I've had records. I keep a list with me on my phone. I update it all the time. And something will stay on that list. I had a record that was on the list for 2 years, and I toured, and I was going to record stores in every city. And this one record eluded me like you cannot believe. But I finally found it in Boston. It was Aretha Franklin live at the Fillmore. And
you would think that would be easier to find.
Was not easy to find. Ton of other Aretha Franklin, but live at the Fillmore with Bernard Purdy on drums, and who's playing bass? Is it James Jameson? It's a monster record, and for whatever reason, it just eluded me.
And that's the sort of thing you need to listen to on vinyl.
You have to, I didn't want to listen to it on Apple Music. I wanted to listen to it on, yeah. So now, funny enough, 2 weeks ago, I ventured out with my mask and my hand sanitizer, and I went to a couple record stores just to pick through and see what they had. But primarily now, if I'm in, hankering for something, I'll go on eBay or just try to find it online.
Yeah, when the pandemic started and I was holed up and feeling very anxious and just kind of trapped, I found myself doing a lot of online record buying. I went on Bandcamp, bought a bunch of like local band stuff. I did some eBay shopping just so I had that steady stream of things arriving at my door. Just it felt like this will keep me sane and like grounded.
When a record shows up, it is a nice feeling.
It is. It is. When I open the front door and it's kind of leaning up against the door, the cardboard box, I'm like, yes, it's here. This is
even
great.
The shape of it just makes me happy. The square cardboard carton.
Completely agree. I know you've done talking about how these songs on the new album have been around for a little bit. I know videos are important. You've made a bunch of videos around this album. I keep thinking that because of the pandemic and the inability for bands to properly tour, I feel like we're at the verge of a video renaissance. Like bands are going to invest more time, energy, and creativity into video making. Seems like you're already there.
Well, thanks. I'm huge into videos. I one thing I was allowed to be exposed to growing up, which did have an influence on me as early as 6 years old, was Michael Jackson. For whatever reason, the household loved Michael Jackson, and I remember watching Thriller and being scared out of my mind, but just blown away by the cinematic quality. But it was music, but it was like a movie, And I think ever since then, I've been really into. And then as a teenager, like someone had given me on VHS. It was a VHS of all the Guns N' Roses videos ever made. You wouldn't even think that they made videos for the non-singles, but they did. They made a music video for almost everything. And again, seeing like the cinematography and the marriage of audio and visual. And then I'm a huge movie buff as well, so I'm really into Tarantino and spaghetti westerns and filmmaking, and so just like getting into that world, which I think is equally as deep and beautiful as music. For me, they're married. So I don't want to, just put out music and then go make another record. Like doing the visual component or counterpart to me is exciting. It's going to be more challenging in some ways now, just because we don't have access to everything that we did.
Right.
And there's obviously going to be more restrictions and rules. But I think you're right. And how cool would it be? Because when I was eventually able to have MTV and VH1, it blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
And what a great way to discover music,
Well, and MTV, I mean, I'm a little bit older than you. Just the idea of hearing a rock band next to a hip hop band next to a pop group and just that bouillabaisse of sounds. And it was just totally normal. That was cool. So you could hear Michael Jackson next to GNR next to Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, totally.
So, all right, the new album, it is out in a mere 3-ish weeks. Nick Perri and the Underground Thieves. It is called Sun Via. You can pre-order it where, Nick?
Well, everything can kind of hub out of nickperrimusic.com, and Perri is with an I. For those of you who don't know my history so well, Perri. So nickperrimusic.com. That'll kind of branch you out to all the different things.
Fantastic. I want to thank people who've been watching on Facebook Live tonight. Jennifer, Mike, Nick, Nicole, Kirill, Mark, Natalie, thank you all for watching. I'm going to stop the Facebook Live.